The British New Wave, kitchen sink realism, and angry young men are phrases that often merry-go-round discussions on 1950s British cinema. But what do they mean, and how do they all link? The British New Wave, like its more prolific predecessor movement, the French New Wave, counteracted cinema's golden age of huge studios and contracted stars with black and white, on-location budget movies. Within these New Wave filmmakers were the angry young men, originally a group of disenchanted authors and playwrights such as John Osborne, who went on to write against the status quo. Stripped back against the industrial settings, these stories gave working class voices room to express themselves, their troubles, ideologies, values, experiences, and political views.
There's no such thing as a wrong war. Violence and revolution are the only pure acts.
Tongue-in-cheek humor, strong communities, local pubs, and crammed apartments made up the kitchen sink aesthetic, with films like Taste of Honey, Billy Liar, and Bronco Bullfrog being notable titles. And the movement's domestic focus, where housewives washing dishes in a raggedy apron replaced
Bond. James Bond.
The kitchen sink drama diverged into two paths, the soap opera, such as Coronation Street, and social realism cinema. Big names like Daniel Day-Lewis, Gary Oldman, Ewan McGregor, and Stephen Graham launched their careers from these types of movies. As cinema evolved, so did its viewers, who demanded something that spoke to them specifically, something they could relate to.
What's wrong with Bally?
What's wrong with Bally?
It's perfectly normal.
Perfectly normal.
I used to go to Bali.
See?
Spearheading into the 80s, Channel 4 was created as a platform for independent films and unheard British voices. The fact that it was privately funded meant filmmakers could experiment with their storytelling and call out things like consumerism, class divide, and Margaret Thatcher. Trainspotting, My Beautiful Laundrette, and The Full Monty are just a few of the intrinsically working class films to come out of Channel 4's inception.
1, 2, 3, 4. Now the bell. Now the 2, 3, 4. Now the sock. Hang on, 4. Carry on.
That were crap.
Instead of Hollywood starlets lounging around with gin and pearls, or corrupt noir detectives sulking the city for bribes, British cinema looked itself in the mirror and saw wage cuts, effects of the new romantics in the Falklands War staring back. Whether kinetically hallucinogenic or improvised on location, the grittiness of all these films marries them into the category of social realism. Whether it's through the mise en scène, the characters, or in the camera itself, there is something abrasive about British working class movies, something that opposed the glint of polished mainstream cinema of Jane Austen adaptations, the Royal Shakespeare Company, and cozy British bookshop rom-coms.
Can I stay a bit longer?
Stay forever.
But it's not just about accurately depicting the boorishness of working class masculinity, it's about exposing their tenderness as well, their aching heartbreak, lost love, and loyal friendships. Family, which also includes friendships and the local community in a core theme in This Is England, which Shane Meadows famously opens with one of the best uses of the montage in cinema, before delving into the coming age of Sean, who loses his father in the Falklands and finds a new group of friends on an East Midlands council estate. Meadows pieces together contextual footage of Britain at the time, punks, Top of the Pops, Princess Diana, and small-town terrorism. The title is an on-the-nose reference to what it's all about, England, as Sean's entire life is influenced by the ideologies, politics, and identities of those around him. He's mocked for his bell-bottom trousers and finds a home in shaving his hair and buying new Doc Martens. However, the ska-loving skinhead moment teetered dangerously on the brink of a Nazi Party 2.0 during the 80s.
If I see you on my streets again, I'll slash you. And it'll be 100 times fucking worse. Alright?
And Sean ends up indoctrinated by white nationalist gang members informed by the chaos, poverty, protests, and bitterness around them.
Some people say we're racist. We're not racist. We're realists. Some people call us Nazis. We're not Nazis. And what we are nationalists.
Toxic masculinity comes into play as a combo. The extremist neo-Nazi who coaxes Sean into the dark side of skinhead culture takes a machete to anyone who isn't white and British.
Okay. Shut up! I'm talking. I'm your fucking size. Fuck with me.
We want just go now, all right?
Don't you fucking dare backchat me, because I will slay you now where you fucking stand.
At the end of This Is England, Combo beats the only black skinhead in the group, Milky, half to death. The palpable suffering of its characters, the believable realism, and the stark relatability make Milky's beating incredibly hard to watch, even though it's far less bloody than most modern crime flicks. Shane Meadows is one acclaimed director in the field of British realism, alongside names like Andrea Arnold and Ken Loach. Daniel Blake rippled its way through critical acclaim and sparkled political debate in 2016.
Could I recommend the Prime Minister supports British cinema and takes herself along to a cinema to see a Palme d'Or winning film, Daniel Blake. And while she's doing so, perhaps she could take the Work and Pensions Secretary with her, because he described the film as monstrously unfair and then went on to admit that he'd never seen it.
Set in Newcastle, is a blatant critique of the British welfare system as widowed protagonist Daniel is ushered back and forth like a tennis ball when trying to apply for benefits. He befriends a single mum called Katie, who struggles to pay for accommodation following a stint in a homeless shelter, and the two are sanctioned, cautioned, and arrested for kicking up a fuss. Essentially, everything but listened to. The sociological drama is frustrating and heartbreaking in equal measure, and its bare-bone believability is what makes these scenes so emotionally stirring.
I'm just really hungry.
Okay.
Look at me.
No. It's okay. There's no harm done.
Oh God, Dan, I feel like I'm going under.
Daniel Blake is a leftist portrait of the common British man chasing to keep up with technology in a crumbling urban landscape, whereas films like Trainspotting focus on young men with no interest in catching up to said crumbling landscape. Centering on a group of heroin addicts, Danny Boyle's adaptation of the 1993 novel is unsurprisingly grotty. The protagonist, Renton, is scrawny, pale, and permanently skint, flirting with the threat of withdrawal at all times, yet still believing he's above the ordinary man. The opening narration mocks the soul-crushing consumerism of normal life.
Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career. Choose a family. Choose a fucking big television. Choose washing machines, cars, compact disc players, and electrical tin opener.
To Renton, choosing drugs, vandalism, and the thrill of crime is choosing life. Renton only believes in his choice because his alternative is being
just like you. The job, the family, the fucking big television, the washing machine, the car, the compact disc and electrical tin opener.
He thinks he's deliberately opting for bliss over the mundane, but subconsciously knows it's a grueling price to pay, as Justin Kerrigan depicts in the come-down scene of Human Traffic.
The only thing you've got in common now is paranoia. It's coming through the walls, man. The children of ecstasy aren't safe anymore. We're no longer all together as one, but separate mental patients that yearn to be ejected out of this poisoned atmosphere to a warm bed and friendly therapist.
Which is why Renton is ultimately trying to get clean. Trainspotting wouldn't have worked against a sunny, modern-built green patty backdrop. Boyle even makes lush green panoramas barren and unpatriotic when juxtaposed with this speech.
It's shite being Scottish! We're the lowest of the low! The scum of the fucking earth! The most wretched, miserable, servile, pathetic trash that was ever shot into civilization.
Social realism needs the rundown, betting shops, trap houses, and fake Hawaiian murals, the real underbelly of Edinburgh, to work. Where, of course, chirpy turtleneck Americans get a beating when using the bathroom of a local-only's pub. That's why Elijah Wood's character sticks out like a sore thumb in Green Street. His Harvard sheen doesn't fit into the coarseness of London casuals dressed head to toe in Fred Perry and Stone Island. Green Street is more football hooligan than androgynous heroin chic, but it's still hard-edged, rusted over the primal to the core. Despite the bloody-lipped anger of it all, Wood's character is intoxicated by the British working-class scene, the newfound freedom to blow off steam, defend your name, and trust that your community has your back.
You know the best part? It isn't knowing that your friends have your back. It's knowing that you have your friends' back.
Working class cinema is a bittersweet rendition of what it means to be a blue-collar British citizen, where one side of the coin reeks of hate, violence, addiction, and hunger. The other is what it means to be truly human, to have a problem by sharing it, to protect your loved ones and riot against the suffocating conservatism of the greedy elite.